Okay, so I'm going to document my project here of laminating this windowsill with this nice piece of walnut. And this, the bark side is going to be out. And what I have to do is make a template. So I'm going to take a piece of thin paper, tissue paper, tracing paper, whatever, put it here, and then cut it along to make a template so I can use that to cut the wood. And what I'm going to do is use the tissue paper, then I'm going to put that on a piece of cardboard. Show you that. And we're going to use this thicker than the tissue paper to make a thicker, more sturdier template. Then once all that is cut out, we're going to put the template on here. I'm going to use a jigsaw with the best blade I can find to cut that. And as you can see here, this wall is not perfectly a 90-degree angle. It's out a bit. This window kind of like is not parallel to the sill. And then I have this cutout here, right? And I'm gonna have it overlap a bit too, so I have a cutout here. So this is the first time I'm going to do a project like this. I'm not an expert carpenter. I have some carpentry skills, and hoping this will come out, but I figured why not document it, just in case it does come out well. So stay tuned, because this is going to be an exciting project. Okay, so I transfer the tissue paper, actually this, to a thicker piece of cardboard for template, and then I cut it along the rough bark side, as you see there, and I'm getting ready to mark it out. Now, unfortunately, this board is not as wide as I wanted, so I'm gonna have to work with this. When I had this up on the sill, I just noted some adjustments, like over here we're gonna add 1/8 of an inch, and that's between this point and there. So what I'm gonna do is, just when I draw the pattern, I'm gonna bring this out more. This one here, I'm going to minus 1/8, so in other words, the cut's going to be a little bit higher. And then on this side, along the side, we're going to add 1/8 inch. And over here, we're going to add 1/8 also, but it's going to be like a pivot point. So what I'm going to do is draw the pattern on, not with a marker, but with a pencil. to go downstairs and do the cuts. I'm going to use a battery-powered circular saw to do the bulk of the cutting. And I'm going to use a jigsaw to finish everything up. Okay, so I'm going to make the last cut here. Hoping everything's going to be good too. And so this is not a perfect right angle. If you use the square to check against using this line as a straight edge, it's going to be out. As you see, it comes in a little bit. So I'm using this as a jig, 1x6, and the distance between the blade and the edge of the plate is 5 inches. So what we want to do is clamp this 5 inches. I use a wide 1x6 instead of a 1x2 because if I just have the 1x2, that little knobby, the saw will hit it and it won't be able to keep going. So I use a wider piece so the knobby can slide on by. All right, and then what I do is measure to the cut 5 inches, right, or close, depending on where you want it. I use these clamps to clamp the board in place. This way we get a nice, straight, even cut. And being that we're at an angle, and I'm cutting an angle, I want to measure from the line to each point, the beginning point and the end point of the cut. I want to make sure it's the same distance. So 5 and 5, I was using the outer line here. 5, 5. All right, so trim the piece off, came off nice. Decent cut, not too bad. Okay, for the other cuts, I did not have the camera rolling, but I did manage to get a couple of stills. Here I'm using the jigsaw to cut the center hole, the cutout, and I only used the jigsaw on the other end where it's got that little piece sticking out. I cut with the circular saw and then finished with the jigsaw. And then I'm going to move on and show you one of the complications I had with the jigsaw. The hard part about using a jigsaw, if you're going to trim a little bit, the blade bends outward and stays away. So if you're going to trim a very small amount, it's better to do as much as you can with the circular saw. And then if anything, finish up with the jig. Okay, almost getting there, still trying to fit it in. Maybe do some trimming. There's some odd cuts here, so it's not something you can actually particularly slide into place. So let's keep trying to finagle with this. Oh yeah, and of course I could have made this 2 pieces to make life easier. Just cut this baby here, or maybe put a seam here, you know, and then put the pieces in. But it's so much better aesthetically when it's one piece. Pain in the butt, and I have to go down 4 flights of stairs every time I make a cut. So that's the real pain in the butt part. All right, let's go. Stop complaining. Okay, so I just trimmed off that piece plus whatever was making up an amount for sawdust. And let's try it out. Okay, check this out. Pretty decent. Got this pretty close. Now the lip of the window comes close to the top of the board because this piece is actually thicker than 1 inch. This was milled from a wood shop, so I actually had the mill person plane this down to about 1 1/8 inches. And he's far away now, a couple 100 miles away. But anyway, check this out. So not bad. Spacing over here. I did widen both sides. It was hard to tell which side needed to be widened because I can only fit it at an angle. Not bad. I'm going to figure out how what I can put in the gaps there. Now to open this window, I'm going to have to stick my finger on the sides because you can't get underneath there. Not too sure how I'm going to work with that. And here, is the edge that comes around, and not bad. So it wasn't super easy to fit it in here. Kind of had to bang it a little bit. Had to be careful. I didn't want to super duper cram it, you know, especially when the bark side is being handled. You don't want to break any piece of that. But looking good. Now, the only thing that I wasn't too crazy about is the old sill. I was asking my partner whether, you know, she would rather me take the whole sill out or trim this down, because if you look underneath, the original sill comes out about an inch, and I'm just wondering if I could have trimmed that down to the wall, but for now we're gonna leave it. You know, maybe we can paint that like a light brown or a dark brown to kind of like accent, you know, the bark wood piece. And so, what do you think? Okay, so after the final fit was done, I kind of pried the piece out. It wasn't that hard. Brought it downstairs and applied 3 coats of water-based polyurethane, and I made sure to get it in all the nooks and crannies in the bark, just to give it an extra structural integrity in case it got banged into. It's less likely to chip off. And yeah, so I took my time. You know, I took a couple of days to do this, let everything dry, and so now just about to bring it up for the fit with the poly. Okay, so here we go. It's installed with 3 coats of polyurethane, water-based on both sides, just in case, you know, we get some water intrusion through the windows and it gets wet. So did the manufacturer of the polyurethane recommended 3 coats, both sides, in and out. Gotten all the nooks and crannies here. And yeah, it has a sheen to it, but it's cool. It'll keep the structural integrity of the bark a bit more than just having it completely raw and unfinished. And so now, definitely all the little ones complement the sill down there. And so there we go, yeah. Okay, so if you liked the video, I appreciate it if you give it a like and hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Happy woodworking. Take care.